Hey, welcome back, everyone. How are you all doing today? I hope your weekend is going fine, and I believe your last week was very fantastic. Okay, dollar kind of did a little bit of leg over for some of us that were trading. They were shorting USD card. All right, we took a loss on USD card because dollar decided to just run higher. However, for euro dollar short, Aussie short, pound short, they all made good sense. So, I mean, give or take, everything looks good. However, we also took a trade on gold. We're buying gold right now, so we're going to talk about that also. And then we also have an update for you on WTI. So we're going to talk about WTI as well. But before we actually jump straight into the chart, also we're going to talk about the COT report today. All right, it's been a while since we talked about COT report, so we're going to talk about that, and we're going to touch some of the data we have coming this week as well because they're actually very important to talk about. We have the inflationary data in the United States. We have, on Tuesday and Thursday, we have the inflationary data in the United States. Those are very cool things to talk about. So we're going to talk about a wide range of things, and you're going to enjoy the session. But before we actually continue, guys, I want you to support the channel, right? Let's build it up this year. So if you've not liked the video, click on the like button. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe, and kindly share the video with your friend if it bless you in one way or the other, or you learn one or two things. So don't forget, we're going to talk about silver, we're going to talk about gold, we're going to talk about WTI, which is crude oil. We're going to talk about DXY, and then we're going to talk about a couple of major pairs and some minor pairs that actually make sense. So it's going to take a while, maybe 30, under 25, 30 minutes, and we are done for the day. So let's start with the economic data, okay, the economic calendar we have coming this week. First off, we have the CPI data coming on Tuesday, the 13th of January. So we're already in the mid of the year already. I mean, mid of January, excuse me. So everything looks cool over here. Although the market is expecting a hot reading on the inflation, you can see right here, core CPI month on month, previous was 0.2%. Now we're expecting 0.3%. And the CPI month on month and CPI year on year is expected to come just as the same, okay, unchanged. So if we get this reading on the CPI or anything lower than all of these, would actually turn dollar down. All right, will make dollar actually go down. If we get something pretty much higher than this, I guess we're gonna get a more stronger dollar than we saw last week. So prepare yourself for that. I was gonna talk a little bit about this, but there's no time because we have a lot of things to talk about on the technical. So you can do a little research about that. But the borderline is if any of these data come higher than expected, then we're going to get a hotter dollar. I mean, a stronger dollar. It's going to rapidly go up. And if we get something lower than what was forecasted, then we're going to get a more weaker dollar, probably a pullback or something like probably a correction or continuation of the bearish momentum that started some time ago. So just watch out. The same thing on the PPI data and the retail sales. Okay, retail sales is expected to actually come higher. We are currently at zero retail sales right now, right? 0.0% retail sales, meaning that the retailers are not making good money. They are not making sales like they used to. But right now, probably because of the just concluded festivities, Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year, all the parole, all the show, all the outing, all the spendings. You understand how you always be everywhere in the world when it comes to December period. So I guess that's why some retailers actually got some sales or made some sales in the United States. So we're going to talk about that. If it actually comes higher, that was very good. But coming higher means inflation is on its way. Inflation is looming. So we have to pay close attention to that. And you can see core retail sales also is expected to come out at 0.4%, which is also the same as previous. That's also quite decent. But again, right, it is still very sticky. Inflation is still pretty much sticky. As you can see, PPI at 0.3% and core PPI at what? At 0.2%. Still pretty sticky. A lot is going on in the economy, and we have to actually watch. We have to pay close attention to it because a stronger inflation in the United States will actually make the dollar get super strong. And right now, I really don't care, to be honest. If dollar is strong, fine. If it's also weak, fine. In my opinion, everything is pretty fine to me. All right, because I'm actually not, but I'm particularly not focused on the dollar right now. I'm more focused on the yen. But when this data comes out, okay, because we already had NFP, now we have CPI and PPI coming this week. So if we got all of these and they all come super, super bearish or bullish for the dollar, that will help me position myself for the next swing trade I'm planning to take. Okay, so let's just watch out very closely and let's be patient with all of this. All right, so that's more like it on the economic calendar. We have GDP month on month in the United Kingdom expected to come actually lower than previous. That's actually very terrible because the United Kingdom economy is not doing very good right now. The same thing with pounds, okay, as a currency on the economic front. Pound supposed to be at the bottom, but you know how you always be. Sometimes the economy actually catch up with the chart a bit slower, right? So we just have to watch out right now on how all of this kind of pan out. Okay, I want to quickly listen to my audio to be sure that everything is still very clear over there. All right, so I'm gonna leave this alone for a while just to hear my audio, right? So don't get distracted with the earpiece. I'm not sure if any of you can actually see it anyway, but let me just keep it there for a while. All right, so moving on to the top setup right here on Edge Finder, you can see that we have some assets leaning pretty bullish, right? We have EURUSD bullish, silver is bullish, NZDUSD bullish, Kiwi dollar is bullish. That is very interesting because I also have my highs on NZD dollar. I already have a buy on NZD, very low, and I'm planning to add to my positions because the one I added earlier was quite an early entry, so I'm currently in like a drawdown. At the same time, I will explain everything to you when we get to the chart. All right, so it's gonna be too much talk. We have gold also bullish, euro card bullish, Hong Kong 50 bullish, Hong Kong 50, China 50, more like the same thing in my opinion. Aussie dollar bullish, euro pounds bullish. We're gonna take a look at euro pounds today. All right. Swiss yen bearish. I'm not in line with that because I'm currently bullish on Swiss yen. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be buying Swiss yen soon. So this bearish, excuse me, Swiss yen bearish, this bearish reading right here is not for me. I must say, pound Aussie bearish, that is actually very valid, okay, because pound is awfully weak and Aussie is pretty decently strong right now. So I would buy that. But Swiss yen, nah, you know, I don't like it. Okay, and technical supposed to be like +2 because Swiss yen is very bullish on the 4 hour and the daily. Okay, very bullish. All the moving average are at the top, but you know it is what it is, right? So moving on. So that's that. I said we're going to talk about the COT. We're going to take a look at the COT data. So let's take a look at it right now. First off, we have. Let's take a look at just the oh no, let's not look at this place. Let's just go to the COT position itself. You know, instead of me telling you the added, the subtract, whatever. Okay, so that kind of always waste our time. So Swiss right here is still very much being shorted by the the non-commercial, meaning the institutions. NZD also been largely shorted. Okay, taking a look at the assets that have been extremely bought. We have gold, we have silver, we have copper, we have Nikkei. All of them have been terribly bought by the institution, and that is telling you something. And you can see the trajectory. All right, when you want to actually position yourself in line with the COT, the institutions, the the big banks, you actually probably want to take a look at the commodities. Okay, the currencies always come slower. All right, but the commodities are much faster because when they are going in, they go in heavy as well. All right, I think I'm good with that. So when they are going in, they go in heavy. So, and that is telling you something that, I mean, you want to be buying gold and silver as well as copper, right? I told you we're going to be talking about copper, silver, and gold this year. So these three assets, you want to really pay close attention to them. Okay, so that's that. You can see them. You can take a screenshot and do your own research at your own time. But overall, from I mean, from this region, Control Z, from here down to here. All right, these are the most shorted assets. Okay, I would say been heavily shorted. We have dollar being shorted, Aussie shorted, pound being sold, S&P 500 extremely being sold, card shorted, US 10 yield so shorted, and Kiwi and Switch also been extremely short. All right, they are selling the shit out of these guys. So I mean, you might, when it comes to the currency, I'm not saying you should follow it immediately, but when it comes to the commodities like this, yeah, this is something you want to really just follow the institution with. Okay, the reaction there is more like instantaneous compared to the currencies. Okay, when we take a look at the COT positioning and the chart itself. I think we've covered the most of all of this. Let's take a look at the UK economic heat map, and then we're going to wrap it up with the economy and stuff. All right. So on the UK front, you can see what we have right here. It is not looking super good. All right. In the United Kingdom, the currency is pretty flat, zero, one of the weakest currency now. But you can see what's happening to the chart. Pound dollar is still very much bullish, right? But lately it's been selling off, right? The same thing with Aussie dollar, Kiwi dollar, euro dollar, they've been selling off, even though some of them are pretty strong right now. That's why sometimes economics that comes in, I mean, it can be infused in the chart instantly, but the reaction, the impact, it's more like on the long term. Okay, it's something you will see immediately. So, but when it comes to the commodities indices, yeah, the action, I mean, the effect is more like instantaneously. That's what I've actually studied, or I come to terms with last year. I studied throughout last year. I've been using this software since last year, since December 2024 actually. So I was able to get that part that economy is fun, but they all kind of get infused properly into the economy or into the chart later. But when you're focusing on commodities, when you're focusing on indices, stocks, yeah, the economic stance, the economic impact is more sporadic, is faster there than it is on the currency pair. So you might want to really, really position yourself. And this is another reason why some people really do not fall for currency. I mean, for fundamentals. They just don't like, they try to avoid it because they think it doesn't work. It's not like it doesn't work, it is slower. Okay, you are expecting something faster, something sporadic, like NFP kind of impact. No, it comes slower, it comes later, right? It's a lagging indicator when it comes to the currencies. But when you're talking about indices, I'm repeating myself again, this will be last time. When you talk about indices, when you talk about metals, when you talk about what's it called again? We talk about energies, okay, even cryptocurrencies, it is much faster there than the what than the currencies. So that is all. Now let's jump straight into the chart. Okay, I hope you learn one or two from that because I simply just kind of like paraphrase. I didn't really go in depth because economy sometimes is kind of like just shaky right now. But so far so good. I think the chart is much more cooler to kind of like forecast and play along with it if you can be patient. And that's what we're going to be doing today. And that's what we've been doing actually for a long time. And we're going to continue. So moving on, we have DXY right here. And in my opinion, don't forget last week we also said DXY, there's a possibility of this we're actually retesting 99.40. And with the NFP data that came last week, with a couple of economic data that we got last week, we are seeing dollar right at the corner. Okay, it's flirting with 99.40. Now we have to be cautious, we have to be careful, because if you take this to the 2-hour time frame, you would see some very interesting momentum. You can see that dollar is losing its momentum gradually, right? You can see all these candles are leaving so much weeks behind, right? So much weeks, right? I mean, I'm not sure if you can see the chart, but based on what I'm saying right here, you can see the week. It's not strong. Okay, the candles are not closing strong. The bullish candle are not being very, very bullish. Let me enlarge this a little bit so you can see what I'm trying to say. It is still very bullish. I'm gonna say that, but the candles are not super, super bullish, right? You can see this one, you can see this one, you can see this one, you can see all of these candles, you can see they're very weird, right? Overall. But I'm gonna say that right now it's not the time to actually rush into the chart or rush into any trade, I must say. But it's about time to actually get yourself well positioned, because right here we have the dollar index actually flirting with 99.40. Okay, it's very close by. All right. So right here, whatever happens here, you can see on RSI as well, the market is at overbought. Excuse me. Okay, DXY is extremely been overbought. So right now, right here, two things will happen. Okay, we might get the reaction we got from here. Okay, it's fast rejection when the market retests this region, or the market can actually break above it slightly, maybe grab some liquidity before it drops further. But in my personal opinion, this is where I draw the line. Okay, right there is where I draw the line for bearish continuation. Okay, anything that makes dollar index break it, pull back, all right, and we're getting some engulfing candlestick around there. I'm talking about bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. Then we might likely get the continuation in that direction. All right, very, very possible. So that is also a possibility. But do I want to see this? No. Does the economic support it? Actually, no. Right. But this is not the first time we're going to see a weaker dollar and the chart will be pretty strong. All right. So we have to be cautious on how we approach dollar right now. But if I'm gonna bet it, okay, if I'm gonna forecast it, I would say that I'm expecting something like this, okay, a little divergence here, and the market will actually drop down, potentially back to 98.60. All right, maybe use this as what as support this time around, and then whatever happens moving forward, we're gonna have to figure it out together, right? But let's see the reaction at the top here first off for us to know what the market is gonna do this week, okay? it's gonna be this week. Okay, it's gonna have to happen this week. So you have to watch out. All right, for what happened around that region right there. So that's that for me on DXY. Okay, DXY is still pretty much weird. Okay, it hasn't gone past the weirdness because on the daily time frame, I mean, it's weird. All right, it's weird and very, very weak. So we just watch out. Okay, don't rush into it, please. Do not rush dollar index right now. Okay, don't rush dollar index. So that's that on dollar. All right, let's talk about gold for a minute. Don't forget, last week we discussed gold at length, and I said something quite profound. I don't like using that word because it makes me sound smart. And I don't know, I'm pretty smart. Let's just keep it that way. Okay, so I shared something quite profound. And that was, first off, I missed a very clear buy at the bottom there, right? If I had taken this buy, I would still be holding this trade. Honestly, I might even have, I would probably be adding another buy right there on gold, but I missed it. Why again? Because I was expecting another leg lower on gold before we get it pump up, because by at large I'm very bullish on what, on gold. But peradventure, I missed that. Okay. But fortunately for me last week, after the NFP, I mean Monday, Tuesdays, all right, the market actually kind of did pull back on Wednesday, right around here. This is Wednesday, and I was able to join this particular positions. Okay, it was actually very awesome. I think I share it in my channel, I mean in my community. Let me see if I can get you a picture. Yes, 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 yes. Let me actually screenshot it and share with you. I took a try. It was a very good buy, anyways. But I just took a screenshot, so let that actually sink in. Control C. Let me paste it here. Control V. All right, this is it right here. So now we have XAUUSD. I took a buy around there. You can see right there, quite similar. Right, my test run. Let's hope this makes sense. It did not get to 4,400, but 4410 entry is not bad. It's not bad either. And I shared it like on Tuesday or Wednesday thereabout. Okay, around that time. So that was that on that. Anyways, just want to share that with you. But good for now, looks good. Okay, if you want to buy right now, I would say that don't buy. Okay, wait for some very good pullback. Maybe if we get a break above 45.50, all right, excuse me, 45.50. If we get a break above there, maybe not get a nice and decent pullback back to like 4,500. All right, you might want to look for buy opportunity above there. Okay, I'm just sharing my own idea. You were the one that missed this one, so don't hold me responsible for you missing out on that one. All right, our peradventure, okay, or the alternate side of this is if we get a deeper pullback, because don't forget, I am still of an opinion that we might still get dollar actually, I mean, gold to actually come all the way down here again. As a matter of fact, probably even come all the way back to like 43.15, you know, 43.15, something like that. Quite possible. Or 41.50 actually. All right, something like that. All right. Something is still telling me that gold could pull back. Right, gold could pull back. I don't know, but something is telling me that gold can actually pull back. So if we get something like this at 4,400, you might want to take a buy. If you come back down to 4,200, you might want to take a buy. If you come back down to 41.50, yeah, you might also want to take that buy. All right, but right now as it stands, if it doesn't come back here, no buying for you yet. If it doesn't come back here, no buy for you yet. If it doesn't come back here, no buy for you yet. The only place we can actually anticipate a buy moving forward on gold would be a break above what, 45.50. All right, a decent pullback. Okay, it's not just going to come back to this particular resistance now use as support. That will be too easy, right? You want to see probably a more deeper pullback to like 4,500, right around here. All right, you want this liquidity right here. People that are sleeping here for a buy, you want them to get swept away. All right, you want their stop loss to be taken. So 4,500 might be a very good place for you to look for buy moving forward. So prepare yourself, watch out. You know what we talk about here is a swing trade, more like a swing trade. So you might want to really just watch out. But for me and anybody that actually take this buy, I mean, you should be enjoying something around, how many pips is this? Give or take 900 and something pips. I mean, it's a good time, right? It's a good time to be alive. So enjoy it. Okay, moving on. Aussie dollar, what do we have on Aussie? Aussie looks good for a buy. I must say that honestly. Don't forget what we actually discussed on the top setup right here on Edge Finder. Aussie dollar is also part of the asset that are that's still pretty bullish, right? Aussie dollar bullish, score of 6. All right. So in my opinion, you might want to look for buy opportunity. But first off, you can take a buy right here. To be honest with you, okay, it looks good. And you can see the RSI also very close to oversold. So that's also a very good point for you to look for buy opportunity. All right. However, if we not get a much deeper pullback to this region, yeah, that's another very big place to look for buy. Right, a buy here and a buy right here on Aussie dollar looks good in my personal opinion again. So that might be a region for you to work to plan ahead of and to watch out for moving forward. So just watch out for it, in my opinion. Okay, and it's not a financial advice, just watch out. I always say just watch out. Euro dollar is also leaning bullish to me. Okay, again, it's at oversold right here. As a matter of fact, euro dollar is much better bought than being sold right now, because first of all, we have this particular divergence here on the 4-hour band. Yes, we have a divergence, very clear and clean divergence. Okay, all I'm actually waiting for right now on euro dollar before I actually join a buy, don't forget I'm using a lot of actually, because yeah, it deserves it. Okay, if I take a buy, I want to see this particular high get taken out. I want to see a market shift. All right. I have a friend I always talk about market shift anytime we have a session. All right. So I want to see the market shift around that region. Okay. I want to see something like this. A break above here, maybe a pullback. All right. And then we look for buy from here. All right. But if I don't want to be very conservative, all I need is just a very bullish candlestick, something that looks like this. All right. And I'm just going to buy. So two ways to trade this. Okay. You can wait for an engulfing candlestick from here to here. Okay. Within this region, look for an engulfing candlestick, something that looks like this, and take a buy. Or wait for what? A break above this particular high, a pullback, then take a buy moving forward. But in my opinion, I would suggest a buy on Euro US dollar. So watch out for that. Pound dollar, right now, because of the pound economic stand, it's very weak. I would say don't buy yet. Okay, I would say don't buy it. I personally don't even understand the momentum, honestly. Okay, I don't really get it. But if I'm gonna buy, maybe at the bottom here, okay, that's where it makes sense to me. Maybe I'll at the bottom here, that will be where I'll be looking for buy on pound dollar. But euro dollar is much better, more cool. But also don't forget what we discussed on DXY. Okay, DXY is approaching 99.40. Okay, a break above it means euro dollar will sell further to the downside. That's why I was in fact considering the conservative entry earlier on. Okay, the conservative entry on euro dollar would actually make sense, because it will show us we have to wait for the direction of DXY before we're able to get into that trade. If you get what I'm trying to say. All right, so you might want to wait for that conservative entry, or you might want to just chip it in with the aggressive one. All right, so just be patient. Okay, I will suggest patience this week. All right, because DXY is going to actually make some play that I don't really get yet, but when the time is right, you actually make some good money from it if you can wait for the entry properly. So on pound dollar, I'm not really fully sure, but I guess let's wait. Maybe on Wednesday, we have a clear entry on pound dollar, but right now nothing actually makes sense to me. On the pound, Kiwi dollar, yeah, I think no divergence yet, which I don't like. I love to see divergence, right? But no divergence right here. Nothing look divergent there. So I will sit on my hands for now. But the market is still very much shy away from the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level. So if we get something like this, right? And we get something like this, right? On Kiwi, yeah, that will actually make some sense to me for your buy on NZD dollar. But without divergence, I would just be chasing the wind. I don't like an entry without divergence, honestly. 2026 without divergence, I'm not trading. That's the goal, guys. Without divergence, no trade. All right, because it just makes my life easier. Don't forget the first buy I took was after a divergence here, and I took the buy right around here. Okay, it was a very swift and very beautiful entry, to be honest with you. And I'm still in the trade. Okay, I've gotten a very good profit here. I took some partial profit here because I know there's a possibility of this pullback. I took a buy around here, which is currently in a drawdown. But after this particular divergence, I'll be looking for another buy on NZD dollar moving forward. Okay, I want to actually build NZD dollar up, but anything that makes it break below here, I'll be out. All my building will just probably collapse. All the build up on NZD will probably collapse with stop loss or something. But this profit here will still probably cover for like 75% of the loss that will probably be taken if it comes to this bottom here. Don't forget, I only have one buy here yet because there was a divergence here when I took it, right, and the market just dipped down, dipped lower. So if we get a divergence here and I took this buy, and then that also kind of come down to this region, I will close the loss. The remaining profit here that I'll be closing will cover for 75% of the loss, and I think it's still a very good trade for me, honestly, because it fits into my system perfectly. Profit or loss doesn't matter. So far, the trade makes sense. Whatever happens, happens. That's the way I say it. So NZD dollar, enough of the talk. I think we can look for buy. Okay, let's prepare ourselves for buy. USD CHF, I'll be looking to short dollar Swiss, honestly. Even though, all right, let's not forget, Swiss is awfully weak, but we know that this weakness is stronger than Aussie, CAD, Kiwi, Pound, Euro, Yen, and dollar all combined. All right, Swiss is a very, very weird currency. It's the weirdest currency, guys. I mean, if you've been trading Forex for a while, you know that Switzerland, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the chart, it's a very weird thing to look into. All right, so I'll be shorting dollar Swiss for sure. But where the entry is gonna be, I don't know yet. But I'm gonna be shorting it. Okay, maybe around there, or maybe yeah, maybe something like that. But I'll be shorting it. I don't really know yet, but I'll be shorting it. Maybe on Tuesday. Just watch out for the video, and maybe on Tuesday and Wednesday. Yeah. Don't forget this 4-hour time frame. It takes some time. It take a day or two before the trade actually materializes. Okay, but whenever it's ready, I'll share with you. So don't worry. So for now, let's just leave it at that. Dollar yen, it has gone. I told you that you can look for buy. I'm not sure if you took it. I did not take dollar yen, but I took euro yen and Swiss yen and buying both. All right. So the dollar yen, I didn't take it because why? It did not come back to this particular region, which is where I was actually waiting for a buy at. So I think that's fine. I mean, it's all good in my opinion. No force, no pressure. So that's that on that. Dollar card, I took a shot on dollar card that did not play out well. Short right here. I mean, everything just makes sense on this particular trade. I got a divergence here, right? And I just took the short at this particular candlesticks, right? Engulfing candle, and immediately, like an hour after that, the market just jumped up. I was pissed, right? But what can I do? I had to just I even extended it a little bit. I extended my stop loss a little bit, partially close some losses. I closed like 30% of the loss, and I extended my stop loss a little bit. But last week Friday, I just closed it because it's too weird. I'll be shorting again very soon, but not before, not until it actually break below here. All right, not until I see this kind of like ABC pattern. All right, that is when I will be looking for short on dollar card moving forward. And yes, the data that came out on Friday kind of like spooked this higher. It was crazy. I knew something like that would happen. That's why I kind of just closed everything before the data came out. So yeah, so far so good. It was fun, right? But it was a loss regardless. Silver. I'm still holding my buy on silver for sure. You know me, I don't just leave a trade like that unless I got trailed out. And exactly what we discussed last week, although I said there is possibility that we get a sweep, but we didn't get a sweep. What we got instead was a break, a pullback, and a jump up, and the market came all the way back down to touch here. So I had a buy here. I got trailed out around here, and I took another buy right there. I'm not sure I shared it. All right. I actually thought I did share it, but I did not share it. So probably while I'm recording this video, I'm gonna add it to the editing part of the video. But moving forward on silver, I will say that if you want to join a buy, I would say maybe something like this on the 15-minute time frame. All right, something like this. Okay, you can look into that. If you get a pullback, that's number one. Number two would be you will not like this. Okay, you're not gonna like this. Yeah, that's wild, right? That's wild. But one thing you'd know is that when silver was here, okay, when silver was here and it made this pullback, you would be thinking, what if it comes down here? You overthink it, and what happened after that? Poof. Again, we got this pullback right here, and it would be like, maybe it will come back down here, blah, 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 blah. Gotcha. I can jump up again. Then we got this pullback again. And you were like, maybe it will come back down here, and I will look for buy, and poof. So it is bullish. That's number one thing you need to be clear about. When we have geopolitics messed up, global economy literally unstable, geopolitics is very hot. Israel, US, and Iran, they're still bickering right now. There's a little bit of bickering between the three of them. US and Israel still want to launch some attacks on Iran. Iran is still saying, yeah, we're not going to agree, blah, 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 blah. It's weird, right? That's number one. Number two, Venezuela and Trump just concluded yes, right? Greenland and US, or let's just say Greenland and Trump again. Greenland is probably going to become the 51st state in the United States. Probably Canada will also follow, who knows? But Greenland is on its way because I just read a report that Greenland is about to kind of jump the protocol because before Denmark was the one shielding them from the exposure that the United States is trying to like inflict on them, something like that. I'm not sure if that English is correct, but whatever Trump is kind of selling to them, it was Denmark that was shielding them from it now. But now, based on one or two things that I'm not at liberty to know, right? Greenland has decided to actually jump over Denmark and negotiate with Trump themselves. Now, maybe it's going to be a negotiation for a very cool and calm surrendering, or maybe they're just going to join the United States as a state in the United. I mean, it's United States. I don't even understand it. United States, a state in the United States. Very weird things to say, but it is what it is. So moving on. So what I'm trying to say is geopolitics is very weird, right? Everything is pretty hot, and when you have geopolitics hot, inflation is very sticky, interest rate is not stable, you have dollar very weak, right? Asset like gold and silver, they are going to boom. So back to what I was trying to say, a break above 83 and a nice and decent pullback, probably back to 78, is still a very good region to look for buy. Because we read that Bank of America is pegging or kind of forecasting silver by the end of the year at around $135 to $309. If they're saying this kind of number, they're putting this kind of number out there, something is cooking. Okay, and you want to pay close attention to that. Don't forget what I said earlier. I said that when it comes to fundamentals, right, the currencies are very slow. But when it comes to commodities, they pick fundamentals faster than the currencies. So you want to pay close attention to them very, very much. Okay. So moving on. All right. So when you have this kind of setup on silver, if you get it, still take it. I'm not saying you should now buy from here because I said there's a possibility that it's going to go up because yeah, it can still come down. Right. It can still come down to 70. I don't know if it can still come down to 64. But I'm not gonna look at it and be like, yeah, don't forget what I said earlier. The illustration I was giving earlier that it's gonna come down here, it did not, it fly up. All right. I used to be like that. I used to wait for very good pullback before I take a buy. But again, I've learned over the past 2 years, I've learned that commodities indices, they really do not do that much pullbacks. They just do a very 38.2% full pullback and then they just jump. All right. So you want to pay close attention to the price action on silver. All right, so that is that on that. So a break above here, a pullback, you might want to look for buy opportunity on silver, or maybe it comes back down here to retest this region again for the second time, then that would be a good place to buy silver as well. So watch out very, very closely. Okay, silver is good for a buy and buy only. Moving on. Copper, on the other hand, copper is also very fabulous to buy. Okay, as a matter of fact, I chose not to buy copper last week. This was a play. I chose not to buy it because number one, there is no divergence, and you know me, I love divergence so much. Okay, I love divergence so very much, and since I did not get any divergence around this particular region, I decided not to buy personally for personal reasons. Don't forget, I already have buy on gold, have a long buy on silver for a very long time, so I can afford not to buy copper because buying gold and silver and copper is very crazy anyways. So that's why I decided not to buy it. And if I'm fortunate enough, okay, if I'm fortunate enough and I get something like, excuse me, I'm trying to pick something right here. Yeah, if I get something like this on copper, all right, that's a very terrible color. Let's pick something else. If I get something like this on copper, yes. And maybe around here, we now get something like a double bottom, all right, something that looks like this. Yeah, I will look for buy on copper moving forward. But without divergence, I'm not going to be buying copper personally. All right. I already have a buy on gold and silver. I really don't need copper right now. If I'm going to be adding copper to the mix, I need a very good entry. That's what I'm trying to say. As a matter of fact, I took it all the way down to 1 hour time frame and there were no divergence. Okay. No divergence that I can actually pinpoint. And I don't like 1 hour time frame. I think there's something here right here, you can see no divergence at all. Okay, right here, no divergence. Okay, the last time we got anything very close to divergence is somewhere here. This one is not even a divergence, anyways. All right, I don't like it. All right, I just don't like it. So I just figure let me leave it alone. So copper, in my opinion, all right, I'm gonna be very fast here because our time is already fast spent, guys. I would say something like this. All right, back to this region or here, but let me focus on here. All right, yeah, something like this. Maybe I'll look for buy on copper. So pay close attention to that. And lastly, WTI, which is crude oil.